This is a review for finding solutions to quadratic equations. Okay, first off, on the first problems that we have, it's asking us to solve these by factoring. That's going to be important on your test, is you're going to have to solve it by the way it's asking you. Okay, so you're not going to be able to just choose one way and only do one way. You have to show me you're able to factor. First off, step one on factoring is you have to make sure that your equations are what? In standard form, which means they're set equal to 0. So right here, this is in standard form, so we're fine. Next, you're going to label A, B, and C. Remember, it's ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. A is 1. A is the number in front of x squared. B is the number back in front of the x, negative 11, and c is the number by itself. Now you're going to do, there we go. I thought it was frozen here. There we go. Now we're going to go and take A times C. 1 times 30 is 30. You need the factors of 30 that add up together to give you negative 11. Well, remember, you can go into y equals and go to y1 and put 30 divided by x and find your factors. I know that when I find my factors, I'm going to have negative 5 and negative 6. When you multiply these, they equal 30. When you add them up, they equal negative 11. Now, in the box, in the top left-hand corner, you put the x squared. The bottom right, you put the 30. Then you have something x, something x. Well, those somethings are what we found over here. So I've got negative 5 and negative 6. The next question that shows up is, does it matter which box I put these in? No, it does not. X squared splits up as x and x. Then you have x times what gives you negative 5x? Negative 5. X times what gives you negative 6x? Negative 6. So the factors, not the solutions, the factors are x minus 6 times x minus 5 equals 0. That is factored form. To find your solutions, you have to take these and set them equal to 0. X minus 6 equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0. I'm going to add 6 to each side. X equals 6. Add 5 to each side. X equals 5. These are your solutions. These are your x-intercepts. Number 2. First off, we know that it should be set equal to 0. So I need to move that 9 to the other side. I subtract 9 from each side. I get x squared minus 9 equals 0. Now, from this right here, let's put it in the box. The x squared goes in the top left. What goes in the bottom right? It should be just the number that doesn't have an x with it. So it's negative 9. Then you have something x and something x. This confuses people because it does not have an x term in it. Remember, we said that standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Well, in this case, I have an x squared and I have a minus 9 equals 0. What we're missing is this piece right here. Well, what that means is a is 1, b is 0, c is negative 9. When there's not an x term, that's the 0. Now, you're going to go a times c. 1 times negative 9, which is negative 9. So now I need the factors of negative 9 that add up to give me 0. So that would be negative 3 and positive 3. Because when you multiply them, they give you negative 9. When you add them together, it gives you 0. So you have negative 3 and positive 3. Now, to split up x squared, it is x and x. X times what is negative 3x? Negative 3. X times what is 3x? Plus 3. So now the factors. In factored form, this is what it is. It's not my solutions yet. My solutions are my x-intercepts. So you're going to have to go and take those factors and set them equal to 0. X plus 3 equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. Subtract 3 from each side. X equals negative 3. Add 3 to each side. X equals 3. These are my x-intercepts, which are my roots, which are called my solutions. Number 3. First thing I need to do before I can do anything else is set it equal to 0. So I add 32 to each side. I'll write it over here, x squared minus 12x plus 32 equals 0. First thing you have to do, top left-hand corner goes x squared, bottom right-hand corner, 32. Something x, something x. A is 1, B is negative 12, C is 32. A times C, 1 times 32 is 32. I need the factors of 32. Well, I've got 1 and 32, 2 and something. I already know I've got to find them that equal 12. I just had them. 8 and 4 multiply together to give you 32, but when you add them, what does it give you? A positive 12, right? So it needs to be negative 8 and negative 4 because it's supposed to add up to be negative 12. So I have negative 8, negative 4. X squared splits up as x and x. X times what is negative 8x? Negative 8. X times what is negative 4x? Negative 4. My factors. In factored form, I have x minus 4 times x minus 8 equals 0. Set them equal to 0. Each individual one to find the x-intercepts, to find the roots. You should add 4 to each side. X equals 4. Add 8 to each side. X equals 8. Those are your x-intercepts. Number 4. First thing you need to do is set it equal to 0. Add 4x to each side. I get x squared minus 4x minus 32 equals 0. A is 1, B is negative 4, C is negative 32. Oh, it's not a minus 4. It's a plus 4. There we go, because I should have added 4 to each side. There we go. Thank you. That should be a 4. Now, top left-hand corner should be x squared. Bottom right-hand corner should be negative 32. Something x, something x. A times C. 1 times negative 32 is negative 32. The factors of negative 32 that add up together to give you 4 should be 8 and negative 4, because when you multiply them together, you get negative 32, but when you add them, you get positive 4. 8 and negative 4. X squared is very simple. It splits up as x and x. X times what is 8x? Plus 8. X times what is negative 4x? Negative 4. My factors, x minus 4 times x plus 8 equals 0. This is factored form. To find your solutions, x minus 4 equals 0, x plus 8 equals 0. Add 4 to each side. X equals 4. Subtract 8 from each side. X equals negative 8. Those are your solutions. Now, there are some more on those on factoring, but we're going to skip to number 11. I'll come back and do the other ones and solve those by factoring in a little bit. All right, number 11. The length of a rectangular park is 3 times the width. If the area of the park is 300, I'll get my pen back. There we go. If the area is 300 square meters, find the width and length of the park using x to represent the width. Okay, so it already told us x is going to be the width. Write an equation and solve. It even gives you a hint and tells you to draw a picture. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. The width, it doesn't really matter which you choose to be the width. I'm going to put the x here because it already said use x to be the width. The length is 3 times the width. So instead of putting the length here, well, I know the width is x, so I guess I should put 3x. This will be 3x right here. My area is 300. To write your equation, length times width, 3x times x equals 300. That's going to be your equation. Now we need to solve it. We have 3x times x equals 300. Well, 3x times x is 3x squared equals 300. Subtract 300 from each side. 3x squared minus 300 equals 0. Well, I need to look about pulling out a GCF. I can pull out a 3. And what am I left with? I have x squared minus 100. See, that's like that one we did where it was x squared minus 9. Okay, so I have x squared minus 100. A is 1. B is the number in front of the x. Is there an x term anywhere? No. So B is 0. C is negative 100. A times C. 1 times negative 100. Negative 100. I need the factors of negative 100 that give me 0. That is negative 10 and positive 10. So I can solve this by factoring by putting the x squared right here, the minus 100 right here, negative 10x, and positive 10x. And I can go through and find my factors this way. The other way you could do it, and which I would probably do on my test, let me get my calculator here. On this right here, what I would do is put, where'd it go? 3x squared minus 300 into y1. 3x squared minus 300. And let's go, and you can press graph and see if you can see where it crosses. Looks like it crosses way out here at the end, which is about at the 10s. Well, I'll look and see. It has negative 10, 0. I should be able to see that's one of my solutions. And if you go back up and down in the table, you'll find your other solution is positive 10. Remember, your solutions are where the y is 0 because that's the x-intercepts. So my solutions is -10 and +10. Which one of those cannot be the answer? Why can -10 not be the answer? You can't have a negative width. So I would get rid of the negative answer. And that means x is 10. The width is 10. If the width is 10, what's the length? 3 times 10, which is 30. Well, that makes sense because 30 times 10 is 300. Let's look at the next one. What happened to the next one? There it is. The length of a swimming pool is 4 times the width. If the area of the pool is 256 square meters, find the width of the pool. Use x to represent the width and write an equation and solve. Draw a picture first. There's my pool. My width is x. I don't know what it is. My length is 4 times the width. So I'll put 4x up here. Okay, so for the equation, and the area is 256. So the equation is length times width. So I've got 4x times x equals 256. Now, I'll take my equation here. First off, 4x times x is 4x squared equals 256. I'll subtract 256 from each side. I get 4x squared minus 256 equals 0. Now, you can go and factor it if you want to. I'm going to go to the calculator. And I'm going to go to y equals and put in there 4x squared minus 256. Let's graph first. I'll see if maybe it's in here. Okay, well, I see there's 2 roots, one positive, one negative. Really, do I need to look for the negative one? No, because I don't need that. We're looking for the width. So I'm going to look over here. It looks like maybe it's at 8. Let's go over here and look at positive 8. Sure is, because it says 8, 0. And the other one, when you look in the table, it'll say, oh, darn, here we go. It'll come and have -8, 0 and positive 8, 0. We don't need the negative. That means my width is 8. If the width is 8, what's the length? 4 times 8? 32. These shouldn't be too bad. It says identify the zeros of each function. What's another name for zeros? X-intercepts. What else? If they ask you for the roots and solutions. Well, right here. It crosses only in one spot. It's only -3. This next one over here has 2 solutions. It crosses at -2 and at 5. The next one, C, crosses at 2 and at 8. All right, here's the next one on the tables. When you're trying to find your roots on the tables, what are you looking for? Where the y is 0. So there is one of them. And there's the second one right there. So I have -4 and -1. Hey, wait a minute. Why isn't it this one? What is this one? 0, 4, right, that's the y-intercept. right? It does. It's an intercept. It's the y-intercept, but is it what we're looking for? No, you only want the x-intercepts. Next one. Now, it asks you to describe the solutions. So I don't want to know what the words are. First off, how many solutions are there? Okay, so there are 2 solutions. One is what? One is negative, and one is positive. That's all they want you to do when you're describing it. Just tell me what they are, not the exact numbers. Was that it? 15? Yeah, then 16. All right. Given the area of a triangle is given by the equation h squared, let me write here, h squared minus 5h equals 36. Where h is the height of the triangle in inches, what is the height? Okay, to find the height, the first thing we need to do is set this equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 36 from each side. H squared minus 5h minus 36 equals 0. Go into your calculator right now and find your solutions. Really keeps doing all. Let's just stay there. There you go. I've got x squared minus 5x minus 36. And I'm going to press graph. Let's look at it this way. Now I'm looking for the height. What solution can the answer not be? It can't be a negative, right? So we're only going to look over here to the positive ones. Okay, so some people are saying it's 9. It sure is. It's 9, 0. So when you go to find your solutions, you're going to find that you're going to have 9 and negative 4. But it can't be negative 4 because we can't have a negative height. So the height is 9. Number 17. The height of a ball hit into the air is given by the equation where h is the height in feet and t is the time in seconds. Find the times when the height of the ball is exactly 4 feet. Okay, so go in the calculator right now and put in there negative 16x squared plus 16x plus 4. So let's put that in there first. We'll go in there and put negative 16x squared plus 16x plus 4. Now it gives me a graph, but that's pretty hard to read. It's asking us what times is the height exactly 4 feet in the air. So when I go to the table, what am I looking for? Not the x-intercepts. When y is what number? The y has to be 4 feet. So you're looking for and why is there going to be 2 spots where it's going to be 4? Because the ball goes up and then it comes down. You're trying to find where that ball crosses 4 feet. See, this is the time in seconds, and this is the height in feet, right? Feet, yes. So when you go to look in your calculator, I'm looking to see where it's 0. Where it's 4. 0 and 1. Well, if it's at, that's a good question. If it's at 0 and 1, let's see. 0 and 1. So I've got my graph right here, and it's 0, 4, and 1, 4. And my graph is going like this. What does that 0, 4 mean? What do you think could be happening if this is when the ball is thrown in the air? It's the y-intercept. It's when time is 0, right? When you start. Well, but it's not coming down yet. It's starting. If it's starting at 4 feet, where's the ball starting at? 4 feet, right? So maybe that person was 4 feet tall and holding the ball up by their head, right? Throwing the ball up just a little bit, and after 1 second came back down to 4 feet and then came down. Our answer should be B. I was just trying to apply and get a visual to what was happening. Number 18. It says describe how the solutions are related to the graph. Okay, so here's the graph shown. Describe how the solutions are related to the graph. There are 2 solutions, and there are 2 positive solutions. Now, wait a minute. How do they relate to the graph? No, where are the solutions on the graph? What are these on the graph? They're points, but they're the what? They're the x-intercepts. Because it said describe how they relate to the graph. Well, they relate to the graph because they're the x-intercepts. All right, here's our next one, our wonderful, wonderful quadratic equation. Anybody remember the equation? That is correct. Not that anybody on the microphone could hear you. She said x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, before you can find a, b, and c, what does your equation have to be like? Equals 0. Is it equal to 0? Sure enough. So we have a is 1, b is 10, c is negative 24. So let's put it into this equation. This says the opposite of b. Negative b means the opposite of b. B is positive 10, so it becomes negative 10 plus or minus the square root b squared. Make sure you put that b in parentheses. 10 squared minus 4 times a is 1, times c is negative 24. All over 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. The next thing you need to do is put what is underneath the square root sign into your calculator. So that what we're looking for is negative 10 plus or minus, we got to figure out what that is, all over 2. And somebody's trying to tell me the answer, and I'm going to find it out on my own. So why don't I just take it from you? Okay, because I'm not a cheater, pumpkin eater. Okay, I'm going to do 10 squared minus 4 times a times c. And I'm being yelled at saying it's 196, which it is. So now we go and put 196 underneath the square root sign. Now, be careful when you put this in the calculator to find your right answer, because now you need to first put everything that's in the top. Do not do the divide by 2 yet. And actually, I've got to split this up, because before I did that, actually, I should have negative 10 plus the square root of 196 over 2, and negative 10 minus the square root of 996 over 2. So I'm still being yelled at by my friend. And right here, so put these in the top first. So, all right. So here, I've got negative 10 plus the square root of 196 and press enter. It is 4, and then you divide it by 2, and your answer is 2. So one of your solutions, oh, that's the highlighter. One of your solutions is 2. That's this one right here. The other one, we're going to go here and put in there negative 10 minus the square root of 196. Press enter. And divide by 2. And it is negative 12. You said 12. It's negative 12. It's negative 12, so that's the other solution, negative 12. Now, the next one over here, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me what I'm doing wrong when I label these. Okay, again, my friends are yelling at me some more. Okay. I need to subtract 12 from each side because it's got to be in standard form. So I get 2x squared minus 2x minus 12 equals 0. A is 2, B is negative 2, C is negative 12. Put it into the quadratic formula. The opposite of B. B is negative 2, so you put positive 2. Plus or minus the square root, negative 2 squared, minus 4 times A is 2, times C is negative 12. All over 2 times A is 2. Put this part underneath the square root sign in the calculator. And we'll place it in here by saying, because we've got 2 plus or minus the square root of something over 4. So pull up the calculator. I've got negative 2 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 12. And I press enter. It's 100. So now when I go in here, I've got 100 right here. Let's see. So I've got to split it up into my two roots. 2 plus the square root of 10 divided by 4, and 2 minus the square root of 10 over 4. Again, you cannot put the whole thing in that calculator. Do the top part first, then divide by 4. So I'm going to come over here. Put 2 plus the square root of 10. Press enter. Divide by 4. One of my solutions, you're going to want to round it to the nearest hundredth. So I've got 1.29. I did it wrong? What did I do wrong? Oh, I should have put 100. Yes. Because I went ahead and did the square root of it. All right, so this is supposed to be 100. Try again. I know that's because I'm being yelled at. 2 plus, yeah, no pressure. The square root of 100, enter. Divide by 4, enter. It should be 3. Let's see, we're having questions on why we got something wrong, so hold on a second. So one of the solutions is 3. And the other one, I'm going to go 2 minus the square root of 100, enter, divided by 4, gives me negative 2. Those are my two solutions by using the quadratic formula. Now let's look at number 21. It wants to know which equation is right for putting it into the quadratic formula. First off, what do I have to do here before I can find A, B, and C? Put it in standard form, so I need to add 2x to each side. So I get 5x squared plus 2x plus 6 equals 0. A is 5, B is 2, C is 6. Now remember, the formula says the opposite of B. B is positive 2, so what's that first part supposed to be? It's supposed to be negative 2. Negative 2, negative 2, negative 2. That one says positive, so I can cross out A. So I have negative 2 plus or minus the square root. It should be 2 squared. That says 2 squared. That says negative 2 squared. That says negative 2 squared. I don't even have to go any farther. There's my answer. Doing it one part at a time. Fill in the blanks. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 is the standard form for a quadratic equation. The points where the y values equal 0 are called the x-intercepts, roots, solutions, zeros. Number 23. Okay, so it says the height of the football kicked into the air is given with the function where h is the height of the ball in feet and t is the time in seconds. How many seconds is the ball in the air? We've had this type of problem before. It's been in the air 2 seconds because that's where it lands. After how many seconds is the height of the ball exactly 12 feet? 12 feet is right here. So where is it 12 feet? Well, I would go at 12 right here, and I'll come down. There's 0.5, and there's 1.5. Number 24. The length of the rectangle is 4 times the width, and the area is 1,156. Write an equation and solve to find the dimensions of the rectangle. Okay, area is length times width. I know the area is 1156. So I have 4w times w, length times width equals 1,156. Well, just like the other one we did, 4w times w is 4w squared equals 1,156. Subtract this to the other side. 4w squared minus 1,156 equals 0. Well, the easiest thing to do is go in the calculator. Go to y equals. Put in there 4x squared minus 1156 and find the positive solution because this is negatives, one's negative and one's positive. Now I don't see anything on here. I just need to look in my table and I know that it's going to be bigger than 10. So then as I'm going to keep going up to find where x is 0 because I want the positive number. It's 17, 0. So that means that my width is 17. Now, if the width is 17, the length is 4 times 17. Well, 17 times 4, 28, 2 and an 8. So the length is 68. Because you have two solutions, but you only want the positive one, two x-intercepts. All right, the next one, number 25. Let's just look at that first part here. What is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is right here at 0, -5. The x-intercepts, -1, 0, and 5, 0. What is the vertex? The vertex in this case is a minimum. Down here at the bottom, it is 3 and -9. Name two pairs of symmetric points. Symmetric points, remember, they have the same y numbers. Okay? So one set of symmetric points could be, I could have -1, 0, and 5, 0. Oh, I could go up here and see where they cross, like right here. This is -2, 6. Or no, maybe it's this one up here. Yeah, it looks like it's up there. So let's see, -2 and 7, and 6 and 7. So -2, 7, and 6, 7. All you need to look at is make sure the y numbers are the same. The next question says, how are the solutions related to the graph? The y-intercept of the graph is the only solution? No, the y-intercept isn't even a solution. The solutions and x-intercepts are not related? Not true, because solutions are the x-intercepts. The vertex is the only solution? Nope. The x-intercepts of the graph are the solutions to the equations. That is true. The next one, on number 26, it says solve using the calculator. First thing you're going to do is make sure they're set equal to 0. Now we go into the calculator, go to y equals, put in there x squared minus 10x plus 16. Well, I can look here and look and see where they cross the x-axis on, and so it looks like it's 2 and 8 maybe. But we can go in the table and look. Let's double check and make sure. We're looking to see where y is 0. Sure enough, 2, 0, and 8, 0. So in this case, let's see here. When you look at it, you have 2, 0, and 8, 0. So your solutions are 2 and 8. On letter B, make sure it's set equal to 0. Go into the calculator. And you have x squared minus 4x minus 21. Graph. Look and see where they cross the x-axis. Looks like it's at -3 and possibly 7. So let's go and look. It is 7, 0. That's one of them. And 3, 0. So we, or -3, 0. So we have 7 and -3. How do you know in the calculator? It's where the y numbers are 0 in the table, or in the graph. This is where the parabola crosses the x-axis. Okay, moving on to number 7, or 27, sorry. It wants to know how many solutions there are. Remember, solutions are when they cross the x-axis. Does this parabola cross the x-axis? No, it does not. So there are no real solutions. Number 28. Michael incorrectly solved the equation by using the factoring method. Circle the mistake in Michael's work and rework the problem correctly. Okay, so I look here. What should they have done right off the bat in the very first part? They should have set this equal to 0. This still says equal to 14. So I need to go over here and I've got x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals 14. Subtract 14 from each side. I get x squared plus 3x minus 18 equals 0. When you factor this, you're going to get x plus 6, x minus 6, and you would set them equal to 0 to find your solutions. Let's see, let's erase that. X plus 6 equals 0. X minus 3 equals 0. Add 3 to each side. X equals 3. Subtract 6 to each side. X equals negative 6. Those are your solutions. Now let's go back. This was at the end of our review sheet, but we didn't do some of the other ones at the beginning on factoring so that we can review on some of the factoring. Ooh, that was a ways back. Okay, do I keep going the other way? I think I keep going back and forth. All right, we've done 4. Let's see if I can get us. Oh, no, I don't want to go to that. Let's see what happened here. If I bring this down, there it is. There's number 5. Let's try and do number 5. So on number 5, first thing we have to look for is it in standard form? Yes, it is. We need to label A, B, and C. Remember, it's ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Well, I have 2x squared. Bx, there's no x, so this right here is blank. Plus c is minus 32 equals 0. A is 2. B, there's nothing there, so b is 0. And c is negative 32. And actually, before I started here, I shouldn't even have done that yet, should I have? I'm jumping the gun. What should I have done first after it was in standard form? You're right, I should have taken out the GCF. The greatest common factor is a 2. Divide out that greatest common factor, and you get x squared minus 16. Now I can put it over here, so I have x squared plus x, I don't know that yet, minus 16 equals 0. So A is 1. B, again, there is no x, so B is 0. And C is negative 16. So right here, I need to put x squared in the upper left, negative 16 in the bottom right, something x, something x. A times C, 1 times negative 16 is negative 16. What are the factors in negative 16 that give you 0? Negative 4 and 4. Doesn't matter which box you put them in. X squared splits up as x and x. X times what is 4x plus 4. X times what is negative 4x, negative 4. X minus 4 times x plus 4 equals 0. To find your solutions, x minus 4 equals 0, x plus 4 equals 0, and now we need to solve. So we will add 4 to each side. X equals 4. Subtract 4 from each side. x equals negative 4. Those are your x-intercepts. Number 6. What do you need to do first? Well, let's see. First thing I need to do is set it equal to 0. So I need to subtract 8 from each side. I get x squared plus 2x minus 8 equals 0. Well, x squared top left, negative 8 bottom right, something x, something x. A is 1, B is 2, C is negative 8. A times C, 1 times negative 8 is negative 8. The factors of negative 8 that add up together to give me 2 are positive 4 and negative 2. I'll put 4 and negative 2. X and x split up, or x squared splits up as x and x. X times 4 gives you 4x. X times negative 2 gives you negative 2x. So factored form looks like this. I have x minus 2 equals 0. X plus 4 equals 0. Add 2 to each side. X equals 2. Subtract 4 from each side. X equals negative 4. Next ones. Number 7. Right here, let's set it equal to 0. Subtract 15 from each side. So I get 2x squared minus 7x minus 15 equals 0. Is there a GCF? No, there is not. So I can label A, B, and C. A is 2, B is negative 7, C is negative 15. 2x squared goes in the top right, negative 15 bottom right, something x, something x. Well, 2 times negative 15 is negative 30. The factors of negative 30 that add up together to give me 7, negative 10, and 3. So I'll put negative 10 here and 3 here. 2x squared splits up as 2x times x. It does matter where that goes. Out of these two boxes, what is the GCF? The greatest common factor is 2, x. So x goes up here. 2x times what gives you negative 10x? Negative 5. X times what gives you 3x? Plus 3. Well, so now factored form, 2x plus 3 times, let me erase this right here, times x minus 5 equals 0. To find my solutions, I take 2x plus 3 and set it equal to 0, and x minus 5 and set it equal to 0. This one's easy. Add 5 to each side, x equals 5. This one, subtract 3 from each side. 2x equals negative 3. Divide by 2. X equals negative 3 halves. Or you could put x equals negative 1.5. That doesn't matter. Either way, those are your solutions. Number 8. First off, set it equal to 0. Subtract n from each side. I get 4n squared minus n minus 3 is 0. Well, is there a GCF? No, there's not. A is 4, B is negative 1, C is negative 3. 4n squared goes up here. Negative 3 goes here. Something n, something n. A times C is 4 times negative 3, which is negative 12. I need the factors of negative 12 that add up together to give me 1. If you used 4 and negative 3, if you added them up, you got a positive 1. So we have to use negative 4 and positive 3. So I put negative 4 here, positive 3 here. Now, 4n squared can split up as 4n times n or 2n times 2n. So we got to figure out which one it is. Out of these two boxes, what is the greatest common factor? 4 and 4, they're both the same number, so the 4n is going to come over here. So that means it's not the 2n, so this n goes up here. N times what is 3n? Plus 3. 4n times what gives you negative 4n? Negative 1. So I've got 4n plus 3 times n minus 1 equals 0 in factored form. To find the solutions, 4n plus 3 equals 0. Subtract 3 from each side. 4n equals negative 3. Divide by 4. N equals negative 3/4, or negative 0.75. The other one is n minus 1 equals 0. Add 1 to each side. N equals 1. Those are your solutions. Number 9. First thing I look at on number 9 is it in standard form? Yes, it is. Let me erase this up here. Give me some room. So, is there a GCF? Can I pull out a greatest common factor? No. 6x squared goes up here, minus 3 bottom right. Something x, something x. A is 6, B is 7, C is negative 3. A times C, 6 times negative 3, negative 18. I need the factors of negative 18 that give me positive 7. That is 9 and negative 2. This is 9x and negative 2x. I know 6x squared splits up as 6x times x, or 2x times 3x. Well, out of these two boxes, what is the greatest common factor? What's the biggest number that goes into 6 and 9? It is 3x. 3x goes here, so that means not these. So that means 2x goes up here. 3x times what is 9x? Plus 3. 2x times 1 is negative 2x. Negative 1. I get 3x minus 1 times 2x plus 3 equals 0. To find my solutions, set them equal to 0. Let's on the first one, I add 1 to each side. 3x equals 1. Divide by 3. One of my solutions is x equals 1/3. The other one, subtract 3 from each side. I get 2x equals negative 3. Divide by 2 to each side. X equals negative 3/2. These are my two solutions.